The leather of the chair creaks softly as you adjust your weight. It is the sound of age, a sound that has lived in this library for generations. You reach out and touch the edge of the walnut desk. The wood is cool and grain-heavy, worn down by the elbows of countless scholars who sought the same peace you find now. To your right, the candle in your brass lantern flickers, casting a long, rhythmic shadow of the inkwell across the table. The ink inside is dry, a dark crust of forgotten words, yet it carries the faint, sharp scent of iron and oak gall. You turn your gaze to a window. The leaded glass is thick and uneven, distorting the world outside into a swirl of grey and deep blue. The rain is no longer just a sound, it is a presence. You can hear individual droplets, heavy, fast strikes against the glass, followed by the long, sliding hiss of water cascading down the stone exterior of the Abbey. Each strike of the rain is a second passing in the great clock of the universe. There is no urgency here. The storm can rage for days, and you will remain protected by 3 feet of solid granite. You stand up, the movement slow and deliberate. Your lantern swings gently in your hand, its light washing over the lower shelves of the section marked Astronomia. Here, the books are bound in dark blue vellum, the color of the midnight sky. You pull one volume out, its weight surprising and comforting. As the spine leaves the shelf, there is a soft, dry friction, the sound of parchment breathing. You open the cover. The hinges of the book are made of cured hide, and they groan with a satisfying, low-pitched frequency. Inside the illustrations are masterpieces of patience. Someone, hundreds of years ago, sat exactly where you are sitting, dipping a quill into a silver pot to trace the rings of Saturn and the belts of Jupiter. You run your thumb over a gold-leaf star. It is slightly raised against the page, a tiny mountain of light under your skin. You can almost feel the phantom warmth of a monk's hand who painted it. The silence of the library is not empty. It is filled with these echoes of focus and care. You begin to walk down the central aisle. The floor beneath your feet is a mosaic of different stones, slate, marble, and rough-hewn river rocks. Each step produces a different note, a soft tap on the marble, a muffled thud on the slate. You are walking through a musical composition of architecture. The air grows cooler as you move toward the northern wing, where the great rose window looks out over the precipice. Even in the dark, the stained glass holds a faint, ghostly luminescence, catching the distant flashes of lightning from the heart of the storm. The thunder follows seconds later, not a sharp crack, but a deep, subterranean rumble that vibrates in your chest. It is the sound of the mountains speaking. You stop and lean against a heavy oak pillar. The wood is carved with vines and small, sleeping animals. You close your eyes and listen to the layers of sound, the high-pitched whistle of the wind through the eaves, the mid-tone drumming of the rain, and the low, constant bass of the thunder. It is a perfect, natural chord. You feel your heartbeat slowing, lining itself with the rhythm of the Abbey. You move toward a spiral staircase made of wrought iron. It winds upward into the gloom of the second level, where the forbidden archives are kept. As you grip the handrail, the metal is cold and solid. Each step up is a transition into a deeper layer of history. Here, the scent of the books changes. It is sharper, more resinous, with notes of dried lavender and rosemary used to keep the moths away from the precious silk bindings. You find a small alcove with a single velvet stool. You're now on the upper balcony, where the air feels thinner and carries the ancient scent of dried pine resin. Your lantern casts long, flickering amber streaks across the ceiling's dark cedar beams. To your left, a massive table of solid oak stands covered in unfurled parchments. These are the maps of a world that no longer exists, shores that have been swallowed by the sea, and mountains that have since changed their names. You lean over the table, the wood cool against your palms. The maps are weighted down at the corners by heavy brass compass and smooth river stones. You run your finger along a coastline drawn in faded indigo ink. The parchment is thick and ribbed, textured like the skin of an ancient creature. As your skin brushes the surface, you hear a faint, dry rasp, the sound of history speaking back to you. You trace the path of a forgotten trade route, imagined by a traveler who sat in this very spot 5 centuries ago, listening to the same rain that beats against the roof tonight. Outside, the storm has found a new rhythm. The wind no longer howls. It sighs through the stone buttresses, creating a low-frequency hum that vibrates in the floorboards beneath your feet. It is a grounding sensation, a gentle reminder that while the world outside is in constant motion, this room is a fortress of stillness. You notice a small, hand-painted illustration in the corner of a map, a sea monster emerging from a swirl of golden waves. The detail is so fine that you can see the individual scales, each one tipped with a microscopic dot of silver. The patience required to create such a thing is beyond modern comprehension. It is a product of a time when minutes were not measured by clocks, but by the slow burning of a candle. You move away from the table and toward a row of iron-bound chests. These are the silent archives where the most fragile scrolls are kept. You choose a small silver key hanging from a silk cord on a wall and fitted it into the lock of the smallest chest. The mechanism turns with a series of heavy, satisfying clicks, metal meeting metal, in a dance of precision. As the lid lifts, a cloud of lavender and sandalwood drifts upward, a scent designed to protect the paper from the passage of years. Inside, you find scrolls of fine vellum, rolled so tightly they look like pillars of ivory. You take one scroll and walk back to your desk. The light from your lantern is beginning to soften as the candle burns lower, creating an even more intimate circle of warmth. You carefully unroll the vellum. It resists at first, the material remembering its coiled shape, but eventually it yields. It is a herbalist's journal. On the pages, pressed flowers from the year 1400 have left ghost-like impressions, perfectly preserved outlines of petals on leaves that once grew in the Abbey's hidden garden. You can almost smell the phantom fragrance of a spring morning, long since passed into shadow. Your eyes trace the elegant looping script of the monk who wrote these entries. The Latin words flow like water, beautiful even if their meaning remains a mystery. You find yourself focusing not on the words, but on the spaces between them, the quiet white gaps with a pen lifted from the page. In those gaps, there is a profound peace. You feel your eyelids growing heavier with every line you follow. The rhythmic drumming of the rain on the lead roof has become a part of your own breathing. In and out. The world is small. The world is only this desk, this lamp, and this eternal rainy night. The candle in your lantern has burned down halfway now. creating a pool of molten gold at its base. The light it casts is softer, more amber, turning the library into a cathedral of long, dancing shadows. You stand up from your desk, your joints feeling pleasantly heavy, as if the very air of the scriptorium is made of velvet. You decide to walk toward the east wing, a section of the library where the ceiling arches are so low they almost touch your head, creating a sense of being inside a warm, wooden cocoon. As you move, the sound of the storm outside changes. Here, the walls are even thicker, built from massive blocks of volcanic tuff that dampen the world's noise into a heartbeat like thrum. You can no longer hear the individual raindrops, only a deep, oceanic roar that reminds you of the immense distance between you and a modern world. You find yourself in front of a shelf dedicated to the chronicles of silence. These books are bound in soft, dark suede that hasn't been touched in decades. You reach out, your fingers sinking slightly into the dusty fabric. The touch is electric, yet calming, a bridge between your hand and a hand that rested here in the deep winter of 1300. You pull a heavy volume titled The Book of Night Hours from its resting place. As the book glides out, it releases a faint sigh of trapped air, carrying the scent of dried heather and old cold stone. You open it right there, standing in the aisle. The parchment is so thin it is almost translucent, like the wings of a moth. The ink is a pale, shimmering silver, written by a scribe who worked only by the light of the moon. As you stare at the elegant, flowing letters, they seem to move slightly, weaving a pattern of peace across your mind. You aren't reading for information anymore. You are reading for the rhythm, letting the shapes of the letters lull you into a deeper state of relaxation. To your right, a small wooden door, hidden behind a tattered tapestry, stands slightly ajar. You push it open with the tip of your boot. It leads to a private reading cell, a tiny room with a single window, and a chair carved directly from a stump of ancient oak. You step inside. The air here is perfectly still. On the window ledge, a forgotten hourglass sits, its sand long ago gathered at the bottom, representing a time that has finally run out, leaving only the eternal present. You sit in the oak chair, and it fits your form perfectly, as if it were grown specifically for this moment of rest. You look out a small window. The lightning in the distance is frequent now, but silent, illuminating the peaks of the mountains in brief, ghostly flashes of white and violet. Between the flashes, the darkness is absolute and welcoming. It is a darkness that doesn't hide things, but protects them. You feel a profound sense of gratitude for this sanctuary. The library is not just a room of books. It is a living organism that breathes with the wind and dreams with the rain. You lean your head back against the cold stone wall, feeling the contrast between the chill of the masonry and the warmth of your own breath. Every muscle in your body is beginning to let go. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw relaxes. The weight of your lantern in your lap feels like a warm, slumbering animal. You watch the way the shadows of the bookshelves play across the ceiling, twisting and turning like the branches of a great, dark forest. You're no longer a traveler. You're a part of the history itself. You are a character in a story that has no ending, only a long, beautiful middle that stretches into the infinite night. The rain continues its song, a low, steady vibration that tells you it is okay to let go. It is okay to sing. It is okay to sleep, but you find yourself drawn toward a high arched opening at the end of the corridor. It is a stone balcony, perched like an eagle's nest over the jagged cliffs. As you step out, the air changes instantly. It is crisp, cold, and smells of ancient glaciers and crushed pine needles. The rain is not just a sound here, it is a physical presence, a fine silver mist that dances in the golden glow of your lantern. You stand at the edge, the stone railing rough and wet beneath your hands. Below you, the valley is a sea of shifting shadows, where the pine trees sway like dark seaweed at the bottom of a midnight ocean. The lightning flashes again, far to the west. For a single heartbeat, the entire world is rendered in sharp porcelain white. You see the veins of the mountains, the distant ruins of a Roman watchtower, and the endless swirl of the clouds. Then the darkness returns, heavier and more comfortable than before. The thunder that follows is a low, rolling vibration that you feel in your very bones, a deep, resonant hum that seems to say, the earth is old, and you are safe within its memory. You pull your wool cloak tighter around your shoulders, the fabric heavy and warm, creating a private sanctuary of heat against the mountain chill. You notice a small stone bench in the corner of the balcony, protected by a deep overhang of carved granite. You sit down, placing your lantern on the floor beside your boots. The light cast by the flame creates a small, flickering world of amber on the underside of the stone arch. You watch a single trail of rainwater as it meanders down a groove in the masonry. It moves slowly, hesitantly, joining other drops until they fall into the abyss with a silent grace. Your thoughts are moving like those drops, slowly, without direction, merging into a peaceful stream of consciousness. From this height, the monastery feels like a great stone ship sailing through a storm of time. You think of the thousands of nights just like this one, where other souls sat in this exact spot, watching the same stars hidden behind the same clouds. Their worries, their triumphs, and their names have all dissolved into the mist, leaving only this profound, ringing silence. You realize that you don't need to hold on to anything. You don't need to remember, and you don't need to plan. You only need to exist here, in the space between the thunder and the rain. The cold air begins to make your eyelids feel heavy in the most pleasant way. It is the kind of tiredness that feels like a reward. You turn back toward the interior of the library, the warmth of the wood and the scent of the books calling you back to your nest. As you step back inside, the sudden silence of the thick walls feels like a soft hand being placed over your ears. The transition from the wild mountain air to the hushed, scholarly warmth is intoxicating. You are moving slower now, your footsteps barely audible on the stone. Every shelf you pass seems to be whispering a lullaby, a collective sigh from 10,000 books, telling you that the day is over and the night belongs to you. You decide to leave the balcony and the cold mountain air behind. As you step back into the library, the warmth of the thousands of books embraces you like a heavy wool blanket. But you do not stop at your desk. You find yourself drawn to a small, narrow staircase spiraling downward, carved into the very bedrock of the mountain. These are the stairs to the lower vaults, the place where the oldest, most fragile memories of the world are kept in a state of eternal slumber. Each step down is a step further away from the noise of the modern mind. The walls here are not plastered. They are raw, gold limestone, glistening with a faint moisture that has filtered through the earth for centuries. The air is thick, silent, and carries the deep, grounding scent of minerals and ancient cedarwood. Your lantern light struggles against the absolute darkness of the depths, casting long, wavering golden fingers that reveal rows of heavy iron-bound chests. These are the sleeper's archives. You walk slowly, your boots making no sound on the soft, earthen floor. You stop before a chest that is wrapped in rusted chains. You do not open it. You simply rest your hand on the cold iron. You can feel the vibration of the earth itself, a low frequency hum that resonates with the rhythm of your own breathing. In this room, 1,000 years is but a single heartbeat. You realize that the stories kept here, the poems of forgotten queens, the maps of sunken islands, the observations of astronomers who saw stars that have since died, are all resting peacefully. They do not need to be read to exist. They simply are. You find a small alcove where a single, massive book lies open on a stone plinth. It is the annals of the silent ages. The pages are not made of paper or vellum, but of thin sheets of beaten silver, etched with a script so fine it looks like the tracks of birds on winter snow. You lean in closer. The silver reflects your lantern light, sending tiny constellations of white dots dancing across the dark ceiling. As you trace a line of the silver script with your eyes, you feel a profound sense of weightlessness. The density of the mountain above you is not a burden, it is a shield. It is protecting you from the wind, from the rain, and from the relentless flow of time. You sit on a stone bench near the plinth, leaning your head against the cool rock. The silence here is different from the library above. It is a thick, liquid silence that fills your ears and calms your pulse. You can hear the distant, ghost-like echo of the storm, but it feels like it belongs to another world, another life. You are in the heart of the mountain now. You are in the center of the quietest place on earth. Your breathing becomes slower, deeper, each exhale carrying away a little more of the day's tension. Your eyes are half closed, whooshing the way the shadows of the iron chains sway ever so slightly in the draft. Everything is slowing down. The thoughts in your mind are like falling leaves, drifting down into a deep, dark well of peace. One by one, they touch the surface of the water and vanish. There is no past. There is no future. There is only this cool stone, this golden light, and the immense, beautiful weight of the silence. You are safe. You are hidden. You are exactly where you were always meant to be. Now we begin the long, slow climb. You leave the subterranean vaults behind, your feet finding the first steps of a narrow spiral staircase made of ancient, cold marble. The staircase leads to the very highest point of the Abbey, the observatory. With every step outward, the air becomes lighter, colder, and carries the faint electric scent of the high altitude and the coming snow. The silence here is not heavy like it was in the depths. It is thin and vast, like the space between the stars. Step by step, you rise. The spiral of the stairs seems to mimic the shape of a distant galaxy. Your lantern light dances on the walls, revealing small carved figures of scholars holding astrolabes or looking toward the heavens. Finally, you reach the top. You push open a heavy bronze door, and the sound of the storm returns, but it is different here. It is a majestic roar, the sound of the clouds brushing against the stone towers. The room is a perfect circle. The ceiling is a massive dome of dark wood and copper, and in the center stands the great astrolabe, a machine of brass and silver that tracks the movements of the planets. It moves so slowly that you cannot see it, but if you listen closely, you can hear the faint, rhythmic click, click, click of the wooden gears. It is the heartbeat of the universe, a sound so steady and so ancient that it makes your own worries feel like tiny, disappearing sparks in a great bonfire. You walk toward the large arched windows that circle the room. There is no glass here, only the open sky. The rain is turning into soft, heavy flakes of snow that melt the moment they touch the warm stone floor. You lean against a telescope made of polished wood and brass. Through its lens, the world below is gone. There is only the deep, velvety indigo of the night. You look up, and for a moment, the clouds part. A single, brilliant star shines through the mist, its light millions of years old, traveling through the darkness just to reach your eyes in this very second. You find a low, cushioned bench covered in heavy tapestries. You sit down, placing your lantern on a small silver tripod. The flickering flame reflects in the polished brass of the astrolabe, creating 1,000 tiny suns that swirl around the room. You watch the way the shadows of the gears move across the walls. They are slow, graceful, and inevitable. You realize that the stars do not rush. The planets do not hurry. They move in a perfect, eternal dance of patience. And you, sitting here in the highest tower of the world, are finally allowed to be still. Your breathing is now as slow as the gears of the clock. Every inhale brings in the cold, pure air of the mountains. Every exhale releases a layer of the day's fatigue. Your eyes follow the movement of a single snowflake as it drifts into the room, caught in the golden light of your candle. It spins slowly downward until it vanishes. You feel your body becoming lighter, as if you are drifting among the constellations. The roar of the wind outside is no longer a storm. It is a lullaby, a song of the infinite void that is calling you home to sleep. The bronze door is closed. The stairs are far below. You are suspended between the earth and the heavens, wrapped in a blanket of silence and stars. The great machine continues its quiet work, counting the seconds out of an eternal night. Click, click, click. You are safe. You are at peace. You are drifting away. You leave the high observatory, descending the spiral stairs so slowly that each step feels like a meditation. The air grows warmer again as you reach the main level, but instead of returning to your desk, you find yourself drawn to the long, arched cloister that surrounds the inner courtyard of the Abbey. The floor here is made of ancient, dark slate, and as you walk, the lantern in your hand casts a rhythmic, golden pulse against the rows of stone pillars. To your left, the open courtyard is filled with the untamed music of the storm. The rain is falling in thick, silver sheets, illuminated briefly by the flickering light of your candle as it passes each archway. You stop and lean against a pillar that is cool and smooth, worn down by centuries of monks who stood here, just like you, watching the water fall. The sound is immense, yet perfectly calm. It is a deep, textured roar, 1,000 different notes of water hitting stone, soil, and leaves. You can hear the heavy splashes where the water overflows from the stone gutters above, falling into the central fountain with a deep, hollow resonance. Splash, echo, splash. The rhythm is so steady, so inevitable, that it begins to sync with the very beating of your heart. You feel the tension in your chest loosening, dissolving into the wet, dark air of the night. In the center of the courtyard, there are rows of midnight lilies, pale, ghostly flowers that only bloom in the darkest hours. They sway gently under the weight of the rain, their white petals shimmering like fallen stars against the black earth. You watch a single raindrop collect on the edge of a petal. It grows larger, heavier, trembling with the weight of the night, until it finally slides off and disappears into the soil. You find yourself holding your breath, waiting for the next drop to fall. Your mind has narrowed down to this one tiny movement. The world of people, of noise, and of worry is miles away, forgotten behind these thick, ancient walls. You begin to walk again, your footsteps a soft, rhythmic counterpoint to the drumming of the rain. The cloister seems to stretch on forever, a corridor of shadows and light. You pass a small, stone-carved bench tucked into a deep alcove. You sit down, placing your lantern on the floor. The light it casts creates a small world of amber warmth around your feet, while the rest of the Abbey remains a mystery of blue and gray. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sound of the rain wash over you. It feels like physical weight, a heavy, liquid blanket that is pressing you down into a state of profound rest. The smell of the courtyard is intoxicating, the scent of wet stone, crushed herbs, and the sharp, clean ozone of the lightning. It is the smell of the earth breathing. You realize that you are not just watching the rain, you are a part of it. Your body feels heavy, as if it were made of the same dark stone as the Abbey walls. Your thoughts are no longer sentences. They're just images, fading in and out like the light of your candle. A falling leaf, a ripple in a puddle, a shadow on a pillar. You are sinking deeper into the quietude. The Abbey is holding you. The rain is singing to you. And there is nowhere else you need to be. Nowhere at all. You decide to leave the cool, rhythmic rain of the cloisters behind. The footsteps are slow, almost dragging across the stone as you walk back toward the great library. But you are not going back to work. You are drawn to the far end of the hall, where a massive fireplace carved from a single block of black basalt dominates the wall. A fire is burning there, slow, ancient fire that seems to have been lit centuries ago and never allowed to die. As you approach, the warmth hits you in gentle waves, softening the chill in your bones and making your wool cloak feel even heavier and more comfortable. You find a high-backed winged chair placed just the right distance from the flames. It is upholstered, deep crimson velvet, worn thin and soft by generations of tired scholars. You sit down, placing your lantern on a small wooden side table. You no longer need its light, for the fire provides a living, breathing glow of orange, gold, and deep amber red. You lean your head back against the velvet, feeling the support of the chair like the embrace of an old friend. Your eyes follow the dance of the flames. They twist and turn, rising in long, elegant ribbons, before disappearing into the dark throat of the chimney. Crackle, pop, hiss. The sound of the wood burning is the most honest music in the world. Outside, the storm is still raging, but from this spot, it feels like a beautiful, distant memory. You can hear the wind howling through the high stone arches, but it only makes the warmth of the hearth feel more precious. You watch a single glowing coal as it settles into the ash. It pulses with light, a tiny heart of fire that fades and brightens with every breath you take. Your mind is becoming as soft as the ash. There are no more maps to study, no more stars to track, no more history to preserve. The only thing that exists is the warmth on your face and the rhythmic sound of the burning wood. Crack, sigh, crackle. You feel a profound sense of weight in your limbs. Your hands rest motionless on the arms of the chair, your fingers curled loosely against the velvet. The scent of the fire is intoxicating, a mix of aged oak, dried pine, and a hint of sweet resin. It is the scent of home. It is the scent of safety. You watch the shadows of the chair and the bookshelves dancing on the walls. They move in a slow, hypnotic circle, weaving a web of dreams around you. You find yourself nodding, your chin slowly dropping towards your chest. Every time you blink, it becomes harder and harder to open your eyes again. The Abbey is silent now, save for the fire and the rain. The thousands of books on the shelves seem to be leaning in, watching over you with a silent, protective grace. They have seen this 1,000 times before, the way a soul finally finds its rest in the heart of the night. You are not alone. You are surrounded by the wisdom, the peace, and the stillness of the ages. The fire is growing smaller now, turning into a steady, glowing bed of jewels. The warmth is a heavy blanket, pressing you down into the velvet. Down, down, into the soft, dark depths of the chair. You are slipping away from the world of words. You are entering the world of silence. And it is beautiful. The fire in the hearth has settled into the deep, rhythmic pulse of crimson and ash. You feel a gentle, irresistible urge to move one last time before the sleep takes you completely. You stand up, your body feeling as light as the smoke rising from the chimney. Your lantern is nearly extinguished, its wick small and glowing like a lonely star. You begin to walk down the final corridor of the great library, the Hall of Echoes. Here, the floor is not stone, but ancient dark wood, polished by time until it reflects the flickering light like a black mirror. With every step, you hear the wood sighing beneath you, a soft, musical creak that sounds like a string instrument played by the wind. Creak, pause, creak. The shadows of the bookshelves here are massive and still, like the trunks of a primordial forest. You pass a row of maps that show the stars not as points of light, but as pathways of silver thread. You stop for a moment, letting your hand brush against a heavy velvet curtain that covers a hidden window. The fabric is thick and cold, damp with the humidity of the eternal storm outside. You pull it back just an inch. The world outside is a symphony of blue and gray. The rain is no longer a violent force. It has become a steady, melodic drizzle that coats the monastery in a shimmering veil. You see the gargoyles on the roof, the stone mouths overflowing with water, creating tiny waterfalls that disappear into the mist. You watch the way the lightning, now far in the distance, illuminates the edges of the clouds. It is a silent flash, a pulse of light that reminds you of a heartbeat. You let the curtain fall back into place, returning the corridor to its warm, amber gloom. You are moving slower now, your feet barely lifting from the floor. You reach a small, circular room at the very end of the hall. This is the chamber of final thoughts. In the center, there is a low table with a single unlit candle in a silver holder. Beside it lies a small, leather-bound book with no title. It is empty, waiting for the dreams of the night to be written upon its pages. You reach out and touch the cover. The leather is soft, like the skin of a peach. You do not open it. You simply let your hand rest there, feeling the absolute stillness of the room. The air here is perfectly balanced, neither warm nor cold, just a pure, clean emptiness that is ready to be filled with rest. You notice the way the sound of the rain is different in this circular room. It doesn't come from the side, it seems to come from everywhere at once, a 360-degree cocoon of white noise. It is a sound that erases the past. It is a sound that dissolves the future. You find yourself leaning against the cool, curved wall, your eyes closing for longer and longer intervals. The rhythm of the rain is now your only clock. Drip, pulse, drip. You're losing the sense of where your body ends and the library begins. You're becoming a shadow among shadows, a breath among breaths, safe, silent. Still, the journey is almost complete. You are no longer a visitor in this library. You have become part of its very foundation. Every breath you take is now perfectly aligned with the slow, ancient pulse of the monastery. You stand before the final window of the hall, a grand arch of leaded glass that overlooks the dark, misty valley. The rain has softened into a gentle, rhythmic lullaby, a constant whisper that says, it is time to let go. It is time to rest. You watch the way the water glides down the glass, creating tiny rivers that catch the last, dying glow of your lantern. The light is fading now. It is a soft, amber ember, casting long and peaceful shadows that dance slowly across the wooden floor. You can feel the weight of the day, the weight of your thoughts, your worries, and your memories simply dissolving into the cool, dark air. You turn away from the window and walk toward the final resting place of the night. A small alcove lined with heavy silk tapestries that dampen every sound. There is a low bed of soft wool and cedar, smelling of the earth and the high mountains. You sit down slowly, feeling the immense support of the bed beneath you. You place your lantern on the floor and lean back. The darkness is not empty. It is a warm, protective presence that wraps around you like a heavy blanket. Outside the storm is a distant hum, like the ghost of a sound that only serves to make the silence inside even deeper. You close your eyes. For a moment, you can still see the flickering flame of the candle behind your eyelids. Then it too fades away into a soft, velvety blue. Your breathing is a slow tide, rising and falling in the absolute stillness. You think of the books on the shelves, the maps of the stars, and the ancient scrolls in the vaults. They are all sleeping now. The history of the world is at rest, and you are resting with it. There is no more past to remember. There is no more future to plan. There is only this breath on the next, and the silence between them. You are safe in the hair of the mountain. You are safe in the heart of the night. The rain will continue to fall, and the stars will continue to turn, but you are beyond the reach of time. You are sinking deeper into the soft, dark ocean of sleep. Every muscle is heavy, every thought is a fading echo. Good night, traveler. The library will watch over you. Sleep now, just sleep. The lantern beside you is now nothing more than a faint orange ghost. Its light is so dim that you can see the true darkness of the monastery, a darkness that is kind, heavy, and ancient. You feel your body merging with the cedar wood of the bed, becoming as still as the statues in the courtyard. The rain outside has turned into a rhythmic, distant humming, a sound that no longer belongs to the world of the living, but to the world of dreams. Every drop is a soft, cold kiss against the stone, reminding you that nature is watching over this sanctuary. You are far, far away from the noise, far from the light, far from the thoughts that kept you awake. Your eyes are closed now, but you can still feel the presence of the 10,000 books in the halls. They are like silent guardians, standing watch over your rest. The scent of old parchment and wood smoke is the last thing you carry with you into the shadows. It is a scent that means safety. It is a scent that means home. You are sinking, falling like a single snowflake through the dark, cold air of the mountains. There is no wind to catch you. There is no ground to hit. There is only the endless, peaceful descent into the void. The silence is absolute. The silence is beautiful. Listen to the rain one last time. It is the only voice left in the world. It is telling you that the day is gone. It is telling you that you are free. You do not need to listen to my voice anymore. My words are fading, becoming as thin as the mist outside the windows. Let the sound of the storm take over. Let the rhythmic drumming on the roof lead you the rest of the way. You are at the threshold. The doors of the past are closed. The doors of sleep are open. Deep, deep sleep. Good night, traveler of the night. Good night.